Hi there everyone, I'm TheGuyWithNoGamertag, and today I want to give my thoughts on and give a review of the remaster of Shadow of the Colossus. Now to give some context, I got this game for free when it was one of the PlayStation Plus free monthly games, so I didn't pay for it, and so that will have influenced my opinions. However, this is a game I have really enjoyed playing. At the point of recording this, I've so far defeated 12 of the 16 Colossi, and I've put about 7 hours into this game. I really am enjoying it, and I really do like the gameplay for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the premise of this game is that you need to fight and defeat these 16 Colossi to save someone. So each Colossi in itself is a boss fight, and you also have to travel around this world to find each one. There are other collectibles, but I haven't as yet found out what they do. It's not very well communicated what those collectibles are and do. They're like these little sparkly things on the floor, and as yet I don't know what they are. There are also the shrines, which act as save points as well as health regeneration points, which are quite useful. But the real parts of this game that I enjoy is the travelling and also the boss fights. Now, the travelling itself, it would seem like a really mundane part of the game, but the art style and the graphics in this game and this remaster are really pretty. It's a really gorgeous game to look at. And it makes it really relaxing to actually travel between these different fights. You just get to leave the horse on auto horse. I can't really say pilot because it's not a plane. I'm not quite sure we want this horse turning into a plane. But when you leave it on auto horse, you can just sort of appreciate the scenery. And the camera itself is quite useful for this. The camera is one of the main criticisms I have of this game. But when you're traveling, the camera is fantastic. It gives you these really nice panning wide shots, and it just kind of feels, it's a combination of cinematic but also really relaxing. It's a really pretty world to be in, and you can just appreciate it and enjoy it. And that's one of the things that I've loved about this game, and is why I do enjoy playing it, is because it is nice to have a game that is just relaxing to play through. Now, admittedly, when you get to the boss fights, there is a lot more concentration required and a bit more analysis of the boss to try and understand the mechanics. But equally well, this travelling section of the game is something I really enjoy, and at sometimes I do just find myself exploring just because the world is really gorgeous. Now, the boss section of the game is obviously the meat and potatoes. It's the actual gameplay. And to me, the boss mechanics are top notch. You've got great boss mechanics. They're interesting to work out and they are quite challenging. There's also a lot of variety between the different colossi. You will find that some of them are quite easy to figure out or quite easy to actually damage, but usually unlocking the damage phase or working out the mechanics of some of them can be really tricky. Now, some of them do struggle with the game mechanics. The main one being, as I mentioned, the camera. Now, what I've realised is the problem with the camera is that when you're in an enclosed space, rather than clipping through objects, the camera zooms in on your character, which you can understand why they might do that. It tries to make it a little bit more challenging, but it means, especially like in this particular fight, where you're running down a staircase and you have to shoot your arrows up at the Colossus, if you try and do it on the staircase, the camera freaks out. The camera is fighting you because it refuses to clip through objects. And it also automatically recenters, so it can make it difficult to aim. Perhaps you realise you're at the wrong angle and you take off your aiming, and then the camera fights and tries to swing you back to looking dead centre, which isn't where you need to look. So quite often the camera will fight you. I did also find that the character, he could be very useless sometimes. He falls over like if a gust of breeze hits him, and it can be quite frustrating, especially if it's one of the first times you're playing through that Colossus and you're struggling to work out the mechanics. If you spend 10 minutes just trying to get onto this Colossus and then your character falls over because there was a small breeze and falls off of the Colossus, it can be quite frustrating. But equally well, the mechanics to actually unlock the damage, to stun the Colossi and then damage them, is really interesting. I love working it out and then figuring out the puzzle and then damaging the Colossus, and it's really engaging. I love the boss mechanics. They are absolutely top notch for quality and variety, because at the moment I'm not getting bored of the Colossi. The way you damage them is the same, but unlocking the damage and the way and the mechanics of each Colossi are varied enough that it makes it interesting, and I'm still enjoying and looking forward to defeating and fighting the next set of Colossi. So whilst there are a few little frustrating bits, they're really just sharp edges. This game is fantastic. I feel like this game must have been revolutionary when it came out on PlayStation 2. It must have been phenomenal for its time. But even now, the remaster is a fantastic game. If you've never played it, or perhaps maybe if you did and you want to relive it, I would highly recommend this game. It's gorgeous, it's got great boss mechanics, and it's just a really enjoyable game that you can relax to. And that's why I've really enjoyed playing it. As I've said, I haven't quite finished it, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless, and I really would highly recommend it to anyone who has a PlayStation 4. Or perhaps if you've got a PlayStation 2, maybe you could just replay it. But anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to leave any questions in the comment section down below if you feel that perhaps I've been inaccurate in this review, or that there's any details I've missed that you would like to know about. Please feel free to leave that down below. But I've been the guy with no gamer tag, and I'll see you on another video.